Welcome to the Pass the Game Challenge, where some of the most chaotic, experimental, weird games come to life. From base building on the open sea and game dev simulators to protecting sheep from invading UFOs and bullet hell gardening. You never know what might come out from one of these challenges. Now, to add an extra spicy twist to this video, the theme is a visual novel. What's absolutely crazy, guys, is that the game turned out so well that the devs decided to continue working on it and put it on Steam. Alright, so without further ado, let's get started with developer number 1.
Alright, we're doing a visual novel, and the first thing about a visual novel is the story. I figure we need something with a tight scope and a pretty solid through line, so I'm thinking like an Agatha Christie style whodunit in a low fantasy setting. Think Knives Out in Game of Thrones. And if these people are going to be doing a whole lot of talking, they should have something interesting to talk about. So let's build the world. Let's start with the birth of the solar system. We are on an Earth-like planet orbiting a binary star. On this planet, there's a thick cloud layer called the Dancing Sky. About once per epoch, it falls down and separates the main continent into several smaller continents. Last time this happened, a seafaring people from these archipelagos over here used their naval power to establish an empire known as the Seleucine Kingdom. The capital is over here at the western edge on a peninsula known as the Clutch. These 5 finger-like promontories push out, and each one is the seat of a different institution, and at the top of each one is a lighthouse with a beacon. That's not that important, I just think it's cool. Right now, Palmaris, the city in the valley between them, is being ravaged by a disease called the Melting Plague that causes you to bleed a lot. Still, history must go on. Princess Savine Medahan is getting married to Duke Fagin Prothor tomorrow. This is great news for the Prothor family, who recently lost their patriarch to the Melting Plague. And it's god-awful news for you, the player, since you are in love with Princess Savine. But you're just the captain of the guard, and fairly new at that, so it never would have worked out. Except that on the eve of her wedding night, she has a little too much wine and confesses her love for you. Who does that? And then conveniently, the Duke wakes up the next morning crying blood and dies. Dr. Bach says he's been injected with the disease, which accelerated the infection, so he died in 7 hours instead of the usual 7 days. And what's worse, this dude, Potter Marcus Crane, second in command at the Diluvian Enclave, says that he saw the princess go into his room 7 hours ago. Or did he? See, the princess has a body double named Benina Watts, so maybe it was her. And Princess Savine's sister, second Princess Riel, could be mistaken for her without the spectacles. Or maybe Marcus is lying. Or maybe there's a spy from the enemy nation of Vilix using witchcraft to disguise themselves. The Duke's mother, Lady Jupiter Prothor, demands justice, and it's your job to deliver it. But what if your beloved Princess Savine is guilty? Can you prove her innocence without revealing your love for her? Let's find out in Diomedea Keep. Okay, so from the dev side, I laid all that out in about a 5-page Google Doc. Then I did some sketches of each of the 12 characters, which I hope nobody will mistake for final art. And I learned a new engine, RenPy, which was shockingly easy. I got the project set up and wrote the first few scenes, introducing a bunch of the main characters, and sadly ran out of time. I wanted to get a lot further in the script. And hey, if you like this kind of stuff, I'm always creating over on my channel, Lighthoof Dryden. Right now I'm working on a Victorian side-scrolling roguelike called Disinherited, and I hope you'll come over and check it out. Best of luck to the next devs!
Okay, very quick pause, guys, to let you know about the brand new community that we've just built. It's called the Game Dev Brotherhood. Noah, what is it about? The mission of the Game Dev Brotherhood is simple. We want to provide you with a tight-knit family of game creators that are going to push you forward and really just motivate you on that journey of finishing and launching video games. Because one thing Liam and I have realized by not only building the Blackthornprod YouTube channel, but also the Game Dev Rocket course, is that sure, all the technical knowledge and skills about how to make games is super important. You're going to have that. What's even more important is the community, because that's what's going to keep you motivated to keep on learning, to keep on improving. So that's why the central focus of the Game Dev Brotherhood is community. We're going to have the theme of the month, and we're going to be going on live Zoom calls with you guys and teaching you about that theme. You're going to be able to stop us whenever you want, ask us questions, interact with us. It's basically like a live mentoring session. On top of that, we're going to be inviting an expert, and you're also going to be on that call and be able to ask him questions. So that's the learning side of things. Now for the action side of things, we're going to be organizing a monthly game jam. We're going to be putting what you've learned to the test, and we're then going to go on live feedback sessions, play your games, get feedback, and that's the way to improve. Cherry on the cake, you'll also have access to the Game Dev Foundations course. We teach you the basics, how to use Unity, program in C#, as well as the Game Art and Animations Foundations course, where I'm going to teach you about designing game characters, making environments, and animating everything. Okay, so if this sounds interesting, guys, you can click on the link in the description. We're offering a 7-day free trial so you can have a look around and see if this is for you. We really hope to see you inside. So with that said, let's get straight back into the video.
Hi there, I'm Diane Callahan. I'm a fiction editor, writer, and YouTuber, and I give writing tips over on my channel, Quotidian Writer. I've been super excited to work on this project, so thank you so much to Dryden for inviting me. As a non-designer and non-developer, I've decided that my job is to finish outlining the script and come up with some fun decision trees for the players that might be interesting. I've been given a lot to work with, including a full Act 1 outline, a bunch of clues, and an ending. Right off the bat, I decided to make two big changes. One was to edit the ending, and the other was to add player stats or variables. The player's choices accrue two different stats that the player can't see, and those totals determine the ending outcomes, as in many visual novels. I won't give away any spoilers, but you can guess the wrong killer in a variety of ways. And if you guess the right one, then those endings will depend on your stats. So you'll have these different branches depending on how those two stats have accrued. I also added some scene level settings for the designer to have fun with later. And I stuck with the KISS principle of keep it simple, stupid, by removing a character and avoiding having too many branches so this doesn't turn into an unfinishable game. I enlisted the shadow help of author Dave Dixon in writing half of the outlined scenes across several sleepless nights. I tried to add meaningful choices, plus some that are in there just for the lulz. I wanted to match the tone and the dialogue from the previously written portion. And for me, it's really important to read dialogue aloud because it's designed to be spoken. We definitely need another writer to finish fleshing out those dialogue choices. Very excited to see where this goes, and yeah, thank you so much. Diane out.
Hey, I'm Three Gnomes from Three Gnomes Games. Thank you to Blackthornprod for inviting me to be a part of this project. I'm a game developer. I worked on a game called Toby's Topsy Tale, and I'm currently working on a game that I'm doing devlogs for on my YouTube called Too Much Quests, which is a party-based RPG inspired by tabletop games like Dungeons & Dragons. I also do a lot of content on my YouTube for game devs, so if you're interested, check that out. So in the package that I received, there were a few things. First off, there was a 30-page document outlining the lore and how the story's going to go and all the different characters. And I'm not exaggerating, it was, I think, 28 pages, which means that whoever worked on this before me clearly put a lot of work into making sure that this was really fleshed out. After my first initial skimming of this document, I went in and checked the engine that this game was being made in. It was something that I wasn't familiar with at all. It's called Ren'Py. Let's stick with Ren'Py. And because I didn't know the software or really anything about visual novels in general, I don't really play any, I've definitely never made any, and it was clear that what was needed was art, which thankfully that is my skill set. Unfortunately, this style of art is not my skill set. My characters tend to look more like this, which I wouldn't say is exactly typical of the visual novel format of art, at least from the little bit of research that I'd been doing. So right off the bat, I knew I was going to have to push myself. So I went ahead and I reviewed the characters and I looked at the art that was presented for each character. And I started figuring out how I could adapt them in some kind of mix of my style and the typical style of visual novels. So the first character I was kind of called to work on was Duke Fagin Prothor of Indicus, who's kind of the character that at the beginning of the game is a jerk to you. And even though I don't do a lot in this style, I have done characters that are sort of similar to what I was imagining for him. I sort of gave him a bigger, swoopier hair, a more, I think, stylish outfit, while still retaining the kind of unusual air of the entire get-up. Clearly, this is not intended to be any sort of specific historical point in time. And so he kind of became the center point for what I built the rest of this around. After him, I made his brother, Lord Korst Prothor of Indicus, also known as the Sledge. And when I was reading this, I focused on the hulking, red-faced, one-eyed warrior. And though I was aware that he was the brother of the character I just made, for some reason I missed the fact that he's supposed to be the younger brother. So I kind of had to walk back the age a little bit, and that wasn't enough, so I actually went in and added some age to the other character that I'd made. And I could talk about the process of making these all day because it was a lot of fun and they gave me a lot to work with, but I'm just going to go ahead and speed through these. Part of the thing about designing outside of my comfort zone is that I was fully aware that there were going to be some that weren't going to be winners, but I gave it my best shot, and ultimately I was very happy with how the project ended up and my artistic contribution to it. And then sort of the last thing that I did was I put the characters in the game file so I could see how they looked in the world interacting. And honestly, I loved it. And ultimately, even though I think it would have been nice to have more time, I could always use more time, I was happy with the result, and I couldn't wait to hand it off to the next dev and see what they would do with it.
Hi everyone, I'm Skloopy. I'm a data engineer turned game dev, and I make game dev content on my channel at Skloopy Dev. So if you like what you see here, check it out. After opening the game, it looked like the other devs had set me up really well, but it was clear there was a lot to be done to pull everything together into a fully playable game. But with so much to do, I wanted to pause and add a couple of systems. First, I added a character attribute system. I added a trust attribute that changes dialogue options. I set up an affection attribute that changes romance options. Second, I added an automatic journal. Anytime a character mentions another character or a key concept, it gets automatically logged in your journal. With those systems in place and a simple truth variable to see how well you're tracking the murderer, I was off to the races to see how much content I could get into Ren'Py. After finishing writing, there was a total of 13 new playable scenes in the game, 2 additional love interests, and 7 unique endings where you see your impact on who ascends to the throne. But with time left on the clock, there was still more I could add to the game. I went through and added background images. I also added some variations on the character art to give them expressions to make them feel more alive. Lastly, I illustrated a character who appeared in the world building doc, but who hadn't been made yet. So, introducing Lord Danfur. I didn't realize until later that I left him at a ridiculous size at the top of the world building dock. So, you're welcome next dev. But as I was playtesting through the game, it still felt a little flat. So I composed a theme for Diomedia Keep. And I composed a properly melodramatic theme for Savine. Lastly, I wanted to make a narration for the epic intro.
It is said that long ago, everything was much as it is today.
And with that, my time was at an end. It'll be up to the next dev to polish Diomedia Keep into the true jewel of the Fickle Sea.
Hi, my name is Jen. I'm a 45-year-old full-time associate librarian, mother of 1, and solo game developer. I started making games about 5 years ago, and I like to talk about my love for the creative process on my YouTube channel. My games are mostly visual novel, role-playing game hybrids that I make in Ren'Py, so if that sounds interesting to you, they are free to play at coffeedripstudios.itch.io. I believe it'll be my job to polish what's been done so far. My first priority will be to design a GUI, a title screen, a logo, and some art for the prologue. I think first impressions are pretty important. I'd like to try to add some more focused details to kind of convey that sense of decadence that's found in a lot of aristocratic art. And I'm thinking muted navy and gold trim colors, which can be kind of reminiscent of nautical and royal colors, but also with a more muted tone can be kind of like an atmospheric moonlit night sky. I'm going to try to do some simple but dramatic cell shading. The prologue scene I'll reveal layer by layer to match the progression of the narration. For the GUI, I'm going to use the symbols of poison ivy and the seabird to showcase the dichotomy of the pivotal character of the story. Looking back at the first scene, there's some things that I find jarring. There's a blurry GUI from a different game in the first background, and some of the art was drawn from the hip up, while others were only drawn from the upper bust. And I think these problems are gonna require redrawing art in order to resolve. While I'm at it, I'm going to push the art a little bit more towards my overall theming to make the characters and world feel a little bit more connected. These characters are all involved in this like political wedding arrangement, so I feel like there needs to be a certain level of decorum upheld. I'm also going to add another sound channel for some ambient noise of the other banquet guests making some low conversational noises, and I'm going to add some louder sound effects to pick the actions of the characters that we can't see. And after scene 1, I'm out of time. I don't know if my vision for this project is the same as what the other devs intended, but I had to hold on to my interpretation if I was going to go hard. I hope at least I conveyed my sincerity in my approach, and thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay, booting it up for the first time. I'm a little bit nervous, but oh my gosh, this cover art screen looks awesome, and the music is so dramatic.
Okay, first of all, this looks absolutely amazing. It's like the music is so epic.
Oh, this just looks beautiful. What a great intro to the game. I like that at least there's something here. Like, I left it very much as completely black background.
The story is extremely well written. How was it collaborating on a story like this?
I don't know. I feel like I got set up to just be a workhorse and just try to get as much as in there. So, like, everybody who came before me, at least, it was just like, okay, here's this really good structure of the dialogue. Here's some choices you can make. And then as well as the art, right? So I got the art with it as well.
This is like for real art. Ah! And look at the little birds on the side of it.
Whoa, this art is nuts. Okay.
I like it. This is different from the way I had it. This is different artwork.
I was so blown away by everybody's work on the end result. I mean, there were things in there like the journal that I was like, I don't even know how somebody would do that. The art was incredible. Like seeing these characters that I just kind of scribbled onto a page be realized like that was amazing. And then the writing, the way that they were developed emotionally was so cool too.
Oh my gosh. Okay, there are other romantic options. So there's daydream about being married to Ibra and then daydream about being married to Kors.
Wait, does she look different now? What? Hold on. Here she looks different too. Like, I like this look as well. Like, she's got like a bit of like an aura of mystery and kind of knowingness to her. These both capture like different aspects.
Going into it and seeing the art from the first section, I was like, this is incredible. And the fact that it matched the UI and everything that was built so well, but it felt like it was still kind of iterative of the stuff that I had worked on was really, really good. I loved going into it and seeing that.
I was a little bit nervous about, I'm glad to hear you say that because I really wanted to work with the sprites that you made, but the inconsistency of the way they were drawn as far as some of them being from the bust up and from the hip up, I found difficult to work with, and I'm kind of particular about details, especially because visual novels are such a static presentation where the images are going to be sitting there for very long periods of time. But I tried to preserve a lot of like your colors and shape language for like the characters and stuff. And so yeah, I hope you didn't mind.
No, I was not bothered by that at all. I loved how it looked.
What would you like to do? Oh, she looks kind of like Yubaba or something here.
There's a lot of story bits that could definitely be stretched out, right? I added 2 different romance options from the one before. So it's like those could definitely be like fleshed out way more than they are. As we get to the end, it's a little abrupt, right? It's like, all right, now we're in here, make a decision. So like kind of stretching out that end decision scene. Just those 2 kind of things, stretching those out just a bit more would polish the overall game.
Who should we blame? Oh, yay, excited. Okay, I think, I don't know, that can be interesting, Lady Jupiter. That might start a war, though.
I feel like there's so much potential for where this could go. It is a very exciting world that's built. And when I finished it, I remember thinking, oh man, I gotta go back and do it again so I could see what more there might have been there that I missed.
Not sure, maybe it's coursed. That seems too obvious though. I've had enough, Mother. My whole life I've lived in his shadow. Forced flies into a fury and hefts his warhammer above his head. What? Did he just kill his mom?
That was great. And just the polish on like the menu and the UI is wonderful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
You didn't use any AI or ChatGPT, right? Because I feel like it's a big thing that like a lot of people are going to want to do more and more now to make these sort of visual novels to write and stuff is use AI.
So Dryden wrote the initial dialogue choices and things that set the tone. Like there's a lot of humor in it and lightness, and I think that's something that AI really struggles to replicate. Like it's a little more genericized. I enlisted the help rather than use AI. I used another writer and I made him help me write stuff. So, you know, we had a lot of fun coming up with a lot of silly options. You know, the options aren't necessarily quote unquote logical. Like you get to do things that feel illogical. And that's what differentiates, I think, games from the real world, right? It's like you get to do things that might not be appropriate in real life that you get to do in the game.
Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and if you don't want to miss out on future episodes. And remember that we've just opened up the Game Dev Brotherhood, our brand new community for game developers. We'll be teaching game development live, interviewing experts, and hosting awesome community events such as game jams. The link to that is in the description. Alright, we'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.